Hello everybody, my name is Connor and I am here with Purple Luffy versus Black Purple Luffy. Yeah, I think this is the first time I've played, or the second time maybe, I've played Black Purple Luffy. Pretty interesting deck. I'm kind of interested, but I don't know. So we don't have a Law to start, which is kind of a bummer, but we do have two Zorojuros in hand, and we did draw into the Luffy Taro. We have the Sangoro, and we got the two Uso Hachis, so things are looking good. And on top of that, we draw off of our life Gum Gum Giant, so pretty solid start. We're gonna go ahead and search the top four, seeing two Giants, and this is definitely a tough one because I have a Luffy Taro. I feel like you could always benefit from another Luffy Taro, but I am a little concerned. I do want counter because I'm unfamiliar with how this match plays. So I'm thinking about the Sanji, but I do decide to take the Gum Gum Giant. I don't want to bottom deck two of my Gum Gum Giants and then potentially lose out on the Gum Gum Giant battle that most Purple Straw Hat Leader card games become. You know, between Robin, Luffy, whomever. I feel like if you've got a Purple Straw Hat, whoever has more Giants ultimately does better. So don't want to be down on Giants. So take the Giant out of the search, and pass turn. We got the Zoro ready to attack, and it looks like my opponent's at 4 Dawn, and I think that he's probably going to drop that new Zoro. Lets him -2 Dawn and get one active, and then leader ability, he gets one back active and one back rested. So gets to reuse some of that Dawn that he would use to drop Zoro, and yeah, I think that's probably what he's going to do. I don't know. I know that there's that card. I know they run the 5-cost Sanji from the starter deck and Gecko, and that's about as much as I know. So he does end up playing the Zoro, and then yep, just swinging a big 8 at us. And I would love to counter out, but I want to keep my counters, so we do take, and we get the Eustace Kid. And of course, now we draw into Law. At this point, I don't really want to see Law. Or I don't, it's not that I don't want to see him, I'm just not going to use him, most likely. So, we are at 6 Dawn. I'm going to see what we can do here. I'll swing 6 with the Zoro to the Zorojuro. We get the 2K out with Black Maria. And then debating on where I want to go from here. I could, I'm already at 3, but I don't hate the idea of taking another life and getting to 7 Dawn to Luffy Taro. But we are going to go ahead, swing 5, and we do end up getting a life off of him. Taking our life, it looks like we got a Sanji. Sanji, I think, would have been, or could have been, a decent play as well, but we are going to Luffy Taro. And torn between playing another Zorojuro. It looks like we got a Eustace Kid, not a Sanji. But torn between Zorojuro and the Sangoro. And I do decide to go with the Sangoro, hoping to get some value off of the Sangoro. Just the ability to keep drawing my cards. Really nice. Really would love Sangoro to stick on the field. And I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that there is a terrible glare where I was sitting during this tournament, so I'll do my best to make sure you guys know what card is, or what cards are being just covered in glare. So he's gonna go ahead and swing 6, and I will go ahead and give him a Uso Hachi. Really nice to see the Uso Hachi. Worst case scenario, it's 2K. Best case scenario, well, you're resting blockers. So I think that is another 6, if I'm not mistaken. 6 or 7. Yeah, and I decide to hold on to the Uso Hachi and just give him 2 1Ks. And then the Sanji comes down and actually pops my Sangoro. So no value off of the Sangoro. A bit of a bummer, for sure. Definitely was going to look forward to just gaining those cards in hand, at least for a little bit, but now that that's out the window, it's time to think about what I want to do here. Looks like I'm separating my Dawn, trying to figure something out. I wouldn't be surprised if I went for the Eustace Kid. I think that dropping Kid is not a bad option. I also don't hate the idea of dropping my Sanji. But we'll see what I decide to do. And definitely, I'm thinking about it. Yep, so I'll swing 7 into the Zoro with my Zoro, a Zoro on Zoro fight. I just don't want him to continually swing into me, so we do end up getting that off the field, which is nice. And we will go 7 into life. And we do have the option of going 9 with Luffy Taro, or even just leaving one up for an early Gum Gum. I really don't like playing Gum Gum early. I don't like going under not a Tendon really once I hit Tendon. So I want to get to Tendon as fast as I can so that I can, if I get the 9 Mom, I can play 9 Mom. If I get the the Rush Luffy, I can Rush Luffy. Just have all the things I want. So my opponent is taking his time to think about if he wants to counter out, if he wants to take, which is understandable, because I feel like the first couple of turns for Purple Luffy are very like, this is what you do, this is how it plays. And then as the game goes on, it really varies. And with the amount of Dawn I have up, it's hard to tell what is coming his way. So he is going to go ahead and counter out of that 7, and I will go ahead and swing the 8, and he'll go ahead and take that one, dropping down to 2 life. And it does look like I am torn between the Zoro and the Eustace Captain Kid. I really like Eustace Captain Kid in this deck, but I feel like he is very hard to get to stick on board, and he only gets that benefit if he sticks. So making my choice, and it looks like I'm leaning towards Zoro. Yeah, I don't hate that. Lets me search for something, and we see 3 of our 4 Kamazos. Very cool, very cool. And so our options are the 9 cost Luffy or the vanilla Usopp. I take the 9 cost Luffy there, off of the Zoro Juro that's currently covered in glare. So that's what that is there. And we're gonna go ahead and pass turn. Ideally, I'd like to get the 9 cost Zoro down. I feel like I did want to get Kid down, but knowing that he plays those 5 cost Sanjis that pop a 5 cost or less, I believe, I just don't feel like he'll stick. I feel like he'll probably get popped instantly, and I'll just be sad. Playing Zoro, I get a benefit when I play him, so even if he does get popped immediately here, there's still a positive interaction from that. I did get a card in hand. Granted, it's not a card with counter, but I do have 1 up, and I do have Gum Gum Giant, so there's that option. But I'm looking at his trash, and I'm seeing that there's, even if he is at 8 Dawn, there isn't a solid Gecko play. He hasn't been able to put too much in trash that would benefit by being played out by Gecko, I guess. But yeah, so I'm not super worried about the Gecko. I think that even like a value Gecko, there's not a lot of value in the Gecko. So he's gonna go ahead, put the Dawn under the Luffy, making Sanji a 6 cost character. And that's what I'm just clearing up. And he's gonna swing 7. I think he's swinging 7 at life, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm thinking about countering out. I go ahead and I give him 2k and a 1k with the Kid. 4 cards in hand. So that's 2 of our Uso Hachis, which is really interesting. I think I got... looking back at this game, I did absolutely get pretty lucky, but we have done quite a bit of searching with the 2 Zoro Juros, as well as quite a bit of drawing, so it is nice to know that we can see some things that we need when we need them. So with the amount of Dawn my opponent has left, I think he's at 6 Dawn, if I did my quick math correctly. Yes, I think so. I tried to do my quick math again, maybe not so quick. And yeah, he'll just swing at least 7 into life, and I'll take it, getting the Onami blocker, which is I really like that blocker, definitely very good. And with the 5 Dawn left, he will play down the Sanji and pop my Zorojuro and pass turn. So a little bit of a tough turn there for us. Not the worst turn. I think that, yeah, countering, even though it does hurt to lose the Usohachi, I think that countering with the kid and the Usohachi was a pretty solid choice. So I think we swing 6 into the Sanji, if I'm not mistaken. Just once again trying to keep his body somewhat clear, because I am kind of low on life and on counter at this point. I do have the giant and the 2k, but and he does give us a 1k for the 6k into Sanji. And I will just go ahead and swing 8 into Sanji, see if I can get another card out of hand, or another couple of cards, or get the body off board. I feel like either of those I'm okay with. I will most likely be swinging 5 at him, and then he knows I have to rush Luffy, so there is a good chance that rush Luffy is going to come down, but he is actually going to Gum Giant the 8 at the Sanji, and yep, we're going to tap 9 minus that Dawn, gain a card, which is a Usohachi, which, oh my goodness, so lucky. And we will, and here I'm torn because I want to clear that Sanji, but I really hate the idea of swinging this 10 into it. But I think that it's pretty important to clear that body. And so, yeah, I'm just torn on if I want to swing into the Sanji. Yeah. And I think I go ahead and swing into life, deciding that I have a decent amount of counter and I can leave Sanji, leave that Sanji up. And then with the 5k swing, I am going to try and get one more card out of his hand, or, you know, drop him down to 0. And he is torn between countering out, decides to counter out with the Law Searcher, and I'll go ahead and pass to him. So overall, I mean, I'm feeling definitely a little nervous. I do have the 1 Dawn up for Gum. I want to keep, at this point I'm thinking I need to keep bodies on the board. I can take 1 hit, obviously, to my life, but I need to be prepared. I don't know what he plays. He could play I know he plays the Rush Sanji. He could play the 9 cost, so I need to be careful about how I take life, if I decide to take life this turn. And I think that it's important to, I think it's important to keep as many bodies up as I can, because assuming I can go for game with, 2 to 3 bodies with 1 life left, and I feel like we've done a pretty solid job of getting rid of a lot of his cards in hand. So he's gonna take his time to figure out what the best play is, and at this point I'm looking at his trash. He's got his trash fan out, which is very useful and helpful. And yeah, I'm not seeing like anything that is worth playing Gecko. Yeah. So he is gonna go ahead and swing. I believe that is 7 at life, if I'm not mistaken. And the choice is, do I Gum this? Do I counter? And yeah, I'm gonna give him the Nami and the Sanji, my OTP right there. Yeah, so I give him the counter for that attack. And looking at my hand, I feel like there's a chance, because at this point I feel like the game is ending next turn, and I'm thinking that I want, I've got a 2k and a 1k. I'm thinking that if I have to Gum Gum, I might trash Gum Gum, which doesn't feel great. But I think at this point in the game, knowing, seeing we're both low, and kind of knowing that the game is most likely ending soon, I think it's okay to trash the Gum Gum. As I said, it doesn't feel great, but yeah, I think that is an alright choice, and I'm just trying to figure out how much Dawn he has left. And yeah, I do decide to Gum Gum and trash Gum Gum, which, yeah, I mean, doesn't feel great, obviously. We're gonna draw 2 cards, and we draw into another Usohachi. So that's, honestly, I'm really, really stoked about that, because he's got 8 Dawn. He's gonna separate 4. I haven't seen a single Frankie blocker yet, and I know that Frankie is played in this list. So I'm expecting a possibility of 2 blockers. So he is gonna go ahead and play Frankie down, trashing the Gecko, which, a little scary that he had the Gecko, drawing 2 cards, gaining the Dawn. Yep, gaining the Dawn back, and then I think he's at 4 Dawn, is that right? 4? Yeah, 4 active Dawn. And so he has 1 blocker at this point, so I know that I am most likely, I'm gonna use 1 Usohachi. But depending, with that 4 Dawn up, I am expecting 1 more Frankie. That's at my thought process is, at this moment, if he has another Frankie, he will drop another Frankie, and I need to hold on to my Usohachi so I can go for game. So that's why, that's kind of what I'm, thinking. I know you guys can't tell, but I'm stroking my chin, dude. I am in thinker mode, dude. And I mean, there is, with 4 Dawn, there's also a chance that if he swings, I just take it. But with that being said, I do want to protect my life, because I do want to be able to, if I feel like I need to, I want to be able to ramp, get another Dawn back, and go for game with that. So he's gonna check my trash. He's definitely thinking about it, and honestly, I don't blame him. This was a really close match, and even though I'm recording and I don't, speed up my games because I can't commentate that fast, I never want my opponents to feel rushed. I want them to enjoy the game as well, So yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with the amount of 2Ks I have in my hand, but I do want to hold on to at least 1 Usohachi. And it really depends on if he swings that leader with Dawn attached or not, because I think that, I can't think of a blocker that's less than 4, and so he does end up swinging the 5, and yeah, I end up countering with the Sanji, because I am, as nice as Sanji is, it is 6 Dawn to play to rest 2 blockers. And I think that that's what we're going to need to do. So he ends up playing the blocker Shirahoshi. I think she's from the starter deck. I know she's seen a bit of a resurgence. I just found some in my bulk, so I'm thrilled about it. But, and yeah, at this point, I'm trying to decide, I think I have to play both of my Usohachis and go for game with the 3-ish Dawn I have left. Yep. So I am gonna leader ability, taking my last life, and I'll tap 3 for 1 Usohachi, rest the Shirahoshi, tap 3 for another Usohachi, rest the Frankie, and honestly, that right there, I know one of the guys who was sitting next to me asked why I countered out with Sanji, and I was like, I was pretty sure he was going to block her up. So we swing this 7, we get a card out of hand, we swing another 7, getting the life, and boom, there we go. So we were able to get it. Granted, my opponent didn't seem to see much, like we were talking about it. He didn't seem to see much, but, you know, for Gecko, so no value there. But yeah, I was pretty comfortable, pretty happy with how I played. And I think that one thing that I'm like really happy about is that I saw that he was going to block her up, that I was able to you guys know what I'm saying, that I was able to predict that and ultimately go for game by playing 2 Usohachi. So yeah, pretty happy with how that game turned out. And yeah, that's gonna go ahead and do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, hit that like button down below. It helps me out more than you could ever know. Go ahead and subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a wonderful